Hey guys, what's up? My name is Bri and welcome to my channel. So if you are just tuning in for the first time, hello, my name is Bri, nice to meet you. And if you like what you see, you can hit that subscribe button down below to stay up to date on all of my latest content, or follow me on Instagram at Graf100 to keep up to date with my life there. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So as you can tell by the name of this video, I am going to be comparing New York auditions to Orlando auditions. If you know anything about me, you'll know that I have spent the past year and a half auditioning in New York City and working in various jobs and contracts throughout that area. But I just recently moved about 3 weeks ago to Orlando, Florida to pursue things down here with the entertainment industry. So I'm gonna kind of compare the two cities and how they're similar, how they're different. So you guys watching can kind of see which you like better if you're trying to decide where to move, if you don't know if New York is necessarily your thing. I hope this video is helpful for you in kind of making that decision. So I'm going to start with the similarities between the two cities. Between New York and Orlando, the majority of auditions that are happening in or around those areas are happening in those cities. New York, a lot of companies from around the world travel to New York because that is where you're going to get the best talent in most people's opinion. In Orlando, if like touring companies are coming through, they might do an audition in Orlando because it is such a central location for the theme parks, people working there, or in different professional theaters down there. It's just a big entertainment city, so it's a great spot for people to go and kind of scout out talent. So both of those cities, majority of auditions happen within them. The next similarity is there are cruise ship opportunities and, like I said, touring gigs, touring opportunities available in those cities because they are such big cities. A lot of cruise ships come to either of them to hold their auditions for either dancers or singers or aerialists or music acts, like different things like that. So those are really great places to go if you're looking to get into the cruise ship industry. And a lot of cruise ships always make their rounds in New York, and one in specific, Disney Cruise Line only auditions in New York. So if you are looking to work for Disney Cruise Line, you are going to have to go to New York because that is the only place they do their auditions, which is kind of weird. They don't do them in Orlando, but I don't know, that's just what they do. In each of these cities, you can audition for any field of entertainment. Now, what I mean by that is if you are looking to be a very well-rounded person like myself, I don't want to just be like a one-trick pony. I want to dabble in stage theater and family entertainment and touring gigs and film, TV, commercial, like all that stuff. You can audition for that in New York or Orlando. The next similarity is that both cities are filled with talented people. I think obviously New York just has such a big name for itself that so many actors just flood there thinking that's the only place they can go to. But I think now a lot of people are realizing that there are other opportunities in other big cities that they can go to if New York just isn't their thing, which is something that I discovered throughout my journey as an actor. So I kind of didn't want to live in New York, as I told you in my last couple videos, but I found Orlando because of the family entertainment aspect was so big down here and all the opportunities I could have that it was a really great fit for me. And there are so many talented people down here that it's definitely like not any easier being down here. If you're thinking like that, like that's definitely not it. Like, so you can definitely just find some really great talent if you're like casting for anything. These are really great cities to check out. My next similarity is that there are going to be big turnouts at the auditions. If you have experienced a New York audition season, right now we're in audition season, it's crazy. I mean, I'll get into that again when I go through the differences, because there are differences between audition seasons between the two cities. But I mean, with New York, like those auditions are going to be packed during audition season. In the off season, like they'll slow down, but they'll never be like dead usually. I mean, a couple auditions I've been to have been dead, but I mean mostly like you're gonna want to get there early if you don't want to wait around all day. And then with Disney, like those auditions are also packed just because like there's not as many opportunities as New York necessarily, but people are constantly wanting to add shows to their rep and add more things to their schedule, which I'll get into later. So they're always auditioning anywhere they can just to see what opportunities can come their way. In both locations, the callback process usually happens pretty quickly. New York, I mean, it's very common for you to audition on a Monday or Tuesday and callbacks on Wednesday, Thursday, and they're making decisions on a Friday, calling you on a Monday. So it's like a very quick turnaround. And in Orlando, it is usually still a very quick casting process. I wouldn't say it's as quick as New York. You may have like the audition one day and the callback is like a week later, which, I mean, is like still quick. But a lot of times they do like want to cast pretty quickly, because they want to get you into rehearsals and get you trained and like all that type of stuff. So I feel like it overall is still a very quick casting process and callback process. And then my last similarity is that there are tons of resources for performers. So if you want to get more training, if you want to gain some new skills, if you want to just have more like lessons in voice or dance or acting or whatever, there are so many people that are giving lessons and teaching classes, and there's just so many things for actors to utilize in those cities. If you want to like learn circus skills with the aerial silks, or like gymnastics or stilt walking, stuff like that, like you can do those in both those places. You just really have to go on Google, search circus schools in Orlando, Florida, and like 10 things will pop up where you can take classes or join a program, stuff like that. So always want to keep improving and keep adding things to your resume. So definitely check those things out if that's something you're interested in one of those cities. Okay, so now we are going to head on to the differences between the two cities. My first difference is the locations of these auditions, meaning that in New York, a lot of the auditions take place in the same 3 locations. They are in like 3 different audition studios that are like on the same street, only like a couple blocks away from each other. That is Pearl Studios, Ripley Greer, and Actors Equity. Now there are like some little smaller ones like Shetler Studios and Sunlight Studios and like things like that auditions take place, but for the majority they're going to take place in those 3 locations that are all on 8th Avenue, a couple blocks away from each other. So that makes it really convenient if you're trying to do like multiple auditions in one day, where you can just bebop over to like the next floor up and just like put your name on the list, stuff like that, which happens a lot in New York, that people do multiple auditions in one day, especially during audition season, because you're trying to be booked and blessed as quickly as possible. Now in Orlando, since like the city of Orlando is huge, most of the time the auditions are going to take place at the specific location you're auditioning for. So if you're auditioning for Disney, it's going to be at the Disney rehearsal facility. If you're auditioning for Universal, it's going to be at Universal. If you're auditioning for SeaWorld, it's going to be at SeaWorld. If you're auditioning for Orlando Rep, it's going to be at the Orlando Rep. Like, it's going to be at whatever location you are auditioning for. So there's just a little more of like a driving time or like commuting process for that. But the auditions aren't going to happen as on top of each other as New York is. So, which I'll get into a little bit later. But you just gotta like go to the specific locations, which isn't like a bad thing. Like, it's just like normal, but it's just something that is slightly different from New York, that you're not gonna usually do multiple auditions at the same time. You're gonna have to schedule those out so they don't conflict with each other and that you're not running over time anywhere. My next difference is that why people are auditioning in that city. Normally in New York, if people are auditioning, it's because they don't have a job, or they don't have a job lined up for a certain amount of time. So those people that you're gonna see at those auditions, they are vying for the job just as much as you are and want it just as bad because they want to make that money. Now in Orlando, you're gonna see a lot of the same people at auditions because people are wanting to grow their rep and grow the number of shows they have available to them and that they have been approved in, so that they can be doing more things throughout the week and kind of make their week more interesting or make more money. So what that means is that in places like Disney or the theme parks, like their shows don't like stop for this season. They're constantly running for years and years and years. And if you can be approved in multiple shows, that kind of makes your marketability a little better, and you can continue to be hired by them and be like working for them longer because you have so many things you can do for them. Which then in turn, it's like if you want to work 6 days a week, you can, because you have all these different things you can do. Whereas if you only have like one show, like they can only schedule you so much because they have so many people that know that show. So like a lot of times people will just audition for shows just because they want to make more money, and that they're already working for the company, but they want to do another show that they haven't been cast in yet, if that makes sense. Or my next difference is that in New York, you kind of have like a one and done type of chance to book a show. Like, and where Orlando, it's like you could audition for the same show like 10 times like in a row, and like on your 11th time you could book it. Like, so what I mean by that is that if a theater is coming to New York to audition for their season of shows, they are gonna have one audition, and you kind of have one chance to kind of like stand out in their eyes and book the callback or whatever. So if you don't book that show, you're not booking that show with that company, because I'm sure it'll be like 20 plus years until they do that show again, if that makes sense. Whereas with like Disney or different places down in Orlando, that they have like auditions for the same show every 6 months or every year or whatever. So you could audition for that show every year, and then maybe like a couple years down the line, then you finally book it after auditioning 6 times for it. So if you don't do well at an audition like one day in Orlando, like just wait for the next one and you could like nail it and book it. Next difference is the process of going to an audition, where say we're in audition season, you're in New York City, you are probably getting to that studio around 6 a.m. to stand outside with hundreds of other people in your little like Eskimo type outfit until they let you into the building to sit in the holding room for 2 hours prior to the audition starting, while you're doing your makeup with everyone, fighting for mirror space and one of the 2 outlets that are in the room, just to sit for another 5 hours after the audition begins, because you're number 206 and you got there at 6 a.m. Like that's like a typical day in New York City during audition season. Whereas in Orlando, I could get to the audition studio at like 7:30 in the morning. I get to wait inside the building, do my makeup there where I'm not freezing my butt off, get there, like, then they let you in, you get your number, sign in. I'm one of the first 10 people, and do the audition, get it over with, and I still have my entire day ahead of me. So it's just so much more of a like better process in Orlando, because there's not as many people at each audition as in New York, and I feel like they just have like a really good way of getting through people in a timely manner and not wasting people's time. You don't have to like get there like at the crack of dawn to just wait out in the cold. My next difference is in New York, you're gonna see a lot more like cattle calls and open calls, whereas in Orlando, a lot of things are done by appointments now, I'm realizing. And what that is, a cattle call is basically like every like nightmare you've ever seen about New York auditions, where it's just like a room is packed with people, you cannot move because you look like cattle just trying to be herded through a line. In Orlando, they're just getting a little more like on top of things, where they want to kind of weed people out before the audition even starts. So they'll have you like submit before, and then they'll pick who they want to audition, and you'll schedule an appointment for that then before the audition starts. So it's just like a better, like more organized process, where they're seeing who they want to see and not just seeing anyone who shows up that day. My next difference is that New York, you need to have plenty of printed headshots and resumes ready, because you never know like what's also auditioning that day, or how many you're gonna need or how many they're gonna take. Whereas in Orlando, they're doing a lot more things online, again with that submission process that I was talking about. When you submit online, you'll have your headshot and resume with your submission, so then when it comes to the actual audition, you don't need to hand out a printed headshot and resume, because they're going to do everything online, save the trees. Also in New York, you could audition at literally any day of the week. Like if you have a free Wednesday, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna see what's auditioning today, and just bebop on over to the local studio and just go audition for something. Where in Orlando, you really need to plan out your auditions, because like auditions are not going to be happening every day, and you kind of need to really research what's going on, when are people auditioning, sign up for a time, do what you gotta do, write it in your calendar, make sure you have off that day. Also in New York, you do have the risk a lot of times of just not being seen. If you're going for those like Broadway EPAs, ECCs, or any like professional theater that's holding EPAs or ECCs, which are equity principal auditions or equity chorus calls, as a non-union actor, you do have a big chance of just not being seen because they don't have time, because there's so many people that want to audition. Where in Orlando, if they don't want to see you, like, you'll know before the audition even starts because you've already submitted and they've already told you, like, it's a no-go today, girl. Also in New York, there's a lot of new works that you can audition for. Obviously, like, new shows that have just been created, maybe are going to Broadway or going on an out-of-town tryout. It also makes that harder to know what to prepare for those auditions, because if it's a brand new show, you have no idea what the show's about, you have no idea what style to sing except for whatever they've written on the audition notice. That's kind of all you have to go with, or like research the writers and the lyricists and stuff like that to kind of get an idea of what you should probably do or what their style is. Whereas in Orlando, a lot of stuff you're auditioning for is probably stuff that has been around for a year, so you can watch the show and know what style to sing. So New York is more of a seasonal based employment area where you're auditioning for a season that has a start and an end date. It's more of like you're going into like theater audition season, and then there's like film and TV audition season, and then you have like the summer stock contracts and the winter contracts and stuff like that. So it's more of like a choppier type of like system, whereas in Orlando, like I said, things are running for years and years, so it's more like year-long contracts with tours and cruise ships and theme park work. It's more you're with them for a year, and then you can decide if you want to renew or go in a different direction. And then my last difference is that New York is just more of a negative atmosphere than Orlando. I mean, it's also just like a northern thing, like people are just not as nice there. The audition room in New York is going to be a whole lot more negative. Like, people are vying for those jobs, people are ready to like kill to be in that next show, and the casting team has been there all day. They are tired, they are sick of hearing that same song over and over again. They are just not having it, and it is very common for them to just like stare at your resume or stare at their computer and not even look up from their screen because they don't care. It's like, be there to perform and be there to show them what you have, and hopefully they like what they hear and they look up from their screen to actually like see who you are. In Orlando, it's just so much more of a friendly atmosphere. When you walk in, people like will look at your resume and like say hi to you by name or like ask you how you are. They have a big old smile on their face, and like they just seem more excited to see you. And I think it's maybe just like a southern thing. People are just nicer down here. Yeah, that's kind of like all of my similarities and differences. I know this is gonna be a very long video. I am sorry. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you found this video educational and like helpful for anyone if you're looking to kind of figure out where you want to move next, or where you want to be based, if it's in New York or Orlando or maybe somewhere else. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share to all of your friends and let them know about this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Graf100 to stay up to date on all of my life there. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you next time.